Protect my peace has turned into the I don't want to feel anything uncomfortable. Anything that causes discomfort or hear something that you don't like, protect my peace. Normal family and relationship conflicts, protect my peace. Now, basic relationship tension gets called toxic and cutting people off gets called healing. And people are ending relationships because they don't want to feel the discomfort and have no accountability. And they'd rather avoid feeling anything. And that's not protecting your peace. It's using this therapy language to justify walking away from normal human conflict and staying stuck playing the victim who can't handle anything hard in life.
Man, God cursed the day that some of you out here learned the word therapy. Because, like, man, I remember, look, man, this is my trauma mind talking. I remember, I guess that's what you might call it. I don't know, man. I guess I just didn't grow up like that. So when I hear that, sometimes I'll be like, man, I just kind of hope this isn't an excuse for you to act stupid. That's what I hear. Like, yo, I have no problem. I guess I just expect authentic healing to look different. That's what I expect. I expect authentic healing to look different than everything is protect my peace. You do somebody wrong and say, this is my opinion. This is just my opinion. This is my truth. Your truth could be trash. Let me just state that for the record. Your truth could be trash. I know you probably don't want to hear that, but your truth may be garbage. The way you treat people and the way you interact with people, the way you hurt people and you say, oh, well, I had to do what I had to do. I'm protecting my peace. What kind of peace is that? To where your peace has to hurt other people. Well, you got to do it for the best because there's no way I'm gonna live my life with da-da-da-da. You got to be good to people. I'm not saying you got to be ran over and all such as that. Obviously, you want to find your tribe of people who care for you and you care for them the same way, and you get reciprocation the same way that you put out, you receive back. Pressed down, shaken together. I hope that for you. But what I'm saying is when you start using what she's saying, therapy language to justify bad behavior, I'll be like, all that therapy. And this is what we're left with. All that therapy that people be talking about. People be talking about, man, I don't know, man. I don't want to get attacked for this, but people be talking about being on a healing journey, bro. And there's nothing wrong with being on a healing journey, but they be on a healing journey for like 10 years, which is fine, but I guess I would expect over time that your healing journey, if it's legitimate and you're actually healing. Now, it's not to put a timeline on healing. Like, hear me. I'm not saying different things cost more to your body. It's more of a I was doing a little research, and I got to turn my my dissertation in to my advisor. But I was doing a little research, and from what I can tell, some of the research was just kind of telling me something interesting from what I see every day. Just this idea that some people, I think it was the cost of productivity for some people is higher than for others, right? So what I'm saying with that is I understand that there are things that you go through that I've never experienced, that I've never been through, and I understand that. I get that. And I thank God, not at your, not to, throw shade at you or anything, but I do thank God. And I'm happy that some things that people have gone through, the Lord has not saw fit to put me through those things. I'm thankful to him for that. And I tell him, I say, I appreciate you, for doing that for me. Not to say that I don't want to go through, because I don't. And I commend you for going through those things and having sort of the integrity to go through those things. But I think in order for you to be at your best, at some point in time, we got to work through. If you're going to do something, it has to be for yourself. It can't be to throw off on everybody else. I remember, man. I was dating. I remember I was dating my wife, and one of her family members, he just didn't like me. is what it was. And we're cool now, but he just didn't like me. It just didn't. There were things because we're just different people. I come from a different place. And at 23, my dad had instilled in me a certain way of thinking and a certain way of operating that I didn't even know I was admitting. I didn't know I was emitting into the world. I didn't know I was putting that out into the world. I wasn't trying to do it, but I knew that I show up this way. Every time I would go to do something, ever since I was 18, my dad would say to me, I would talk to him about something. I would ask him about something. And he would look at me and say, and he wasn't being funny. He'd be sitting on his recliner, watch TV. And I say, Dad, what you think about da da da? And he'd be like, I mean, you're a grown man. You can do what you want to do. And he would keep saying that. And he would keep saying that. And I didn't take offense to it. He would keep saying that. And so I just showed up in the world that way. I'm a grown man. I can do what I want to do. So when I was dating and, you know, for some people, it's hard to let go or, let go of control of somebody. And I think that played a part in it. And also a level of protection. I want to protect my family member. So that came out as well. And it came out in the wrong way. And I guess my energy of I'm a grown man. I do what I want to do. Just annoyed the fire out of him, which had nothing to do with me. My confidence came from my dad. It wasn't anything toward him, but my point in saying this is that we got to a place to where things just, boiled and escalated over, as a natural progression. And, at that time, I had, and I wasn't really big on school at the time. I really wasn't. So at the time for me, it was a wonder that I had gotten through an associate's degree. And, my wife was just at the time she was going to, she was getting ready to go into school, her first semester in school and stuff like that. And she was just getting started. And he said to me something to the effect, and I don't remember everything, but he said to me, she's better than you. That's what the insinuation was. She's better than you. And I don't mind that. If she's better than me, she's better than me. Who cares? But he insinuated she's better than you. Basically y'all are kind of unequally yoked because she's better than you. Man didn't even know me. You know what I mean? Didn't even know what I was bringing to the table. Didn't know what I had going for me. Didn't know who my folks were, my parents were. I'd begged them, call my parents, talk to my parents if you want to. And the whole church thing, you call and talk to somebody's pastor if you want to know who they are. And I said, here's my dad's number. You can call and talk to him if you want to know where I come from and stuff like that. The whole church culture and stuff. And so they never did it, which was really a disrespect to my dad. But, my dad ain't tripping on nothing like that. My dad would just be chilling, man. He's sitting in the recliner watching TV, watching Gunsmoke, man. Man ain't worried about nothing. So if the call came in or if it didn't, he laying there chilling. And so I was kind of the same way. But essentially the guy got to the point to where he just started berating me. You're weird, dude, blah, blah, this and that, so on and so forth. And they were trying to accuse me of something that had nothing to do with me, and whatnot. And I refuted it. And he didn't have any proof, so he had to let it go. But it got to the point to where he said, she's better than you. And she's essentially going to go further than you, And he started talking and saying, oh, I make this much money, so on and so forth. And as he's saying it, I'm thinking to myself, man, you really worked hard for that money. You drove all over the country for that money. And she's like, man, my mama makes that. And she sits at home on a laptop. And I wasn't saying that in my mind to be shady. I was saying that in my mind as like, man, dang. Because I knew he worked hard. I knew he worked a lot, just evangelizing stuff like that. I was like, dang, man, my mama makes the same thing. And she just sits at home all day in her pajamas, types on the computer in the recliner, watch TV and working. So, but he got to the point to where he said, you're not anything and you're never going to be anything. And That frustrated me for about 7 years. I was mad, but I always stayed in school. I continued my education from there. And every time I went to an educational milestone, it had nothing to do with him. I never thought of him. I never thought of, oh, this is for you, for all the haters out there who doubted me. Man, because my success has nothing to do with haters. My success is for me. I am being successful because I want to be successful, not for anybody else. But because if you let your success depend on other people, eventually you're going to get burned out. And now, thank God, I'm at the level to where I'm at my PhD and I'm working on my dissertation. I looked up the other day and I said, wow, Lord, this is crazy. Who would have thought if I would have just stuck to my goals that I'm now at the dissertation phase of my PhD. You look up and you plan things for so long, and then you actually show up there. When you are traumatized and unhealed and you don't know how to relate to people, everything is always somebody else's fault. And you misunderstand conversations. You misunderstand what people are saying to you. And you break off friendships and you justify breaking off friendships and doing people wrong. And people genuinely didn't mean any harm to you. And you barking and biting their head off. And they really didn't mean nothing by it. And you going through life bitter, which is breaking down your body, leading you to chronic stress and hypertension. That's the research. That's the literature. Chronic stress and hypertension. Thinking that you doing something to them because you could hold up a certificate or hold up a stack of money and say, look at me, to all the haters who did this, that, and the third. Why are you still stressed about them? You made it, baby. You made it. Look, don't share this moment with them. They don't need it. This moment don't belong to them. It belongs to you. Take your moment. Enjoy your moment. You won. All that stuff that held you down back there, it's done with. It's gone. You don't even need to be worried about that stuff no more. Oh, but they still, You think it's small. You need to be thinking big. You need to be thinking big. Thinking small. Don't worry about what happened back there. Worry about now. Man, Lord, it's crazy, man. That I'm doing my PhD, man. I'm at my dissertation. I could, in just a little while, I'm going to be able to call myself doctor. What? Man, the young me never could see this. But look at you now. And I don't attribute none of that to him saying, I don't even think about any of him saying, oh, you ain't never going to be nothing, this, that, and the third. And I've become something 10, 12 times over. And never, when I became something, did I attribute it to him in any form or fashion. Who cares, baby? Look, and whatever you doing, I don't got to check on whatever you doing to see if you failing or not. Because, sometimes we do that. We hold a vendetta against somebody. We hold a grudge against somebody and we check on them. We check on their page just to see if they failing while we up. You know what I mean? Just so, because we petty like that. You did it. You did it. I know you did. Don't lie. You did it. But you got to heal from that stuff. And I love what she's saying because basic stuff that your parents did that they probably weren't supposed to do, stuff that you can let go right now, that you still holding on to grudges against your parents for. Oh, I'm talking to you. I know you're mad at me. I know it's different for everybody. Everybody got a different story, but this is what I say to you. Anything that you want to ask for, get it out. And trust me, it's not going to go your way all the way, always, because parents come from different eras. That's just who they are. Grew up being mad at my dad for a long time, arguing, bickering back and forth, so on and so forth. And you realize when you get older, some of the stuff that they be saying, and you understand they're regular people. Because you be at the same age that they are, you be like, dang, am I doing much better than my parents at that age? Not just in terms of financials, but in terms of how I think and how I handle things. And then I realized everything that they were doing at my age. Maybe they had kids and they had a lot more responsibilities at the time, or maybe they had just different things to think about. Maybe they sacrificed everything that they had to put you in better position, right? Or maybe once you came along, they were so down on themselves that they weren't in a place or a position to take care of you the way they wanted to, that things just spiraled out of control. We don't know what kind of mental barriers or mental blocks that our parents were going through. But thank God that I'm out of that now. I know some parents can be devils on wheels, devils with feet, devils with a body. Lucifer himself then came down and possessed some of our parents. Then they talking crazy, talking wild, and you try to be respectful, and they doing weird stuff. But I love you anyway. But I gotta love you from a distance. But loving you from a distance and truly being healed does not include me always having to use that in a story that continually drudges up hurt, pain, and resentment. You know, I'm moving on. I forgive you, but I'm not gonna stay here. I'm not gonna continue to be hurt over some nonsense. You can keep that with you. I make too much money to be hurt over that. I love you and I hope the best for you, but I make too much money. I'm living too good. God has blessed me too much for me to be worried about how you hated on me in the 5th grade. You almost caused me to unalive myself because you put so much pressure on me. But thank God he was there for me, because you tried to take me out. But the Lord saw what you was doing. He saw fit to keep his hand on me when I was in that moment of despair and struggle. He came and touched my mind and flipped it and gave me a renewed confidence that you tried to take away from me. But I forgive you because you didn't know what you were doing. That's what Stephen had to say to them boys when they were throwing rocks at him. I forgive you because you don't know what you're doing, because we're ignorant. We think we're so smart. We think we're so logical when we're tearing people down. And that gives us a high when we can tear people down and outsmart them and beat them in the ground. Ha 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 ha! Look what I did. But because you don't know how to love anybody, right? You don't know that. 10 years down the line, you say, man, whatever happened to that kid? You know, I talked to that kid like a dog, man. I should have never done that. I don't even know why I did that. Man, I hope he's doing all right. Thank God he stepped in, because not everybody is able to sustain that kind of pressure. Just be a good human being. Not everybody's, because I make the same mistake too. A lot of times. Not everybody's able to sustain that kind of pressure. Hurt people. And you got to check whether or not you're still hurt, because if you're still hurt, you're probably hurting other people, and you're probably justifying it because your lens says, well, other people are going to hurt me, so I got to hurt them before they hurt me. No, you don't. Just take yourself out of the equation. It's not healing. I don't care how much you pay for therapy. I don't care how long you go to therapy. Therapists are humans too. They have a bias. They have a bias as well. And they can be high-fiving you for being toxic. Why? Because they can be toxic as well. Because they have their own worldview. They just got education. They can try to use the tools and stuff like that and so on and so forth. But how you use the tools and how you interpret the tools, because of your worldview, is where it comes into play. And you think that just because they have a degree, they have a PhD and stuff like that, and they're agreeing with you, that you're validated. You're not. You got to do some self-work on your own and check whether or not you're really healed. And you got to see, am I really healed? It's one thing to say, man, I don't do that just because I don't do that anymore. I don't have a problem with the person. You know, I don't have a reason to just talk about them in an extended context and just dog them out. I don't do that anymore. So we don't have a reason to hang out just because I don't do that kind of stuff anymore. My mind is different. I woke up one day and I want to do something different. And that's all it is. And so sometimes when I see stuff like that, I agree. I see stuff like this, I agree wholeheartedly, because we have taken the language because we've been hurt so much, and we have disguised protecting my peace as allowing me an extended period of time to be bitter. You got to come up out of that for your health's sake. Health is wealth, baby. Let me know what you think in the comments. Like, share, subscribe. If you're mad at me, let me know. If you disagree with me, let me know. But until next time, take care of yourself. Take it easy.